Yes, people. Welcome back to Let's Talk Everything Now, a platform where I talk about various different topics from comic books to movies to my beloved Liverpool Football Club, and also, most importantly, me training as a trainee psychotherapist. Yeah, so the name is welcome. Subscribe. If you already know the channel, please like my videos as well. That's the most important thing. I'm telling you guys, I'm not trying to be humble this time. Like the video. If you see the video, just like it. It's for free. But anyways, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I had the pleasure to call in into the show, the day after show. It's this is a Black British culture daily show that's bringing you fresh and fit, up to date content, unfiltered, undiluted, with no holes barred. Live every weekday at 8 a.m. Tune in to stay up to date with the current news, trending topics, and experience the best interviews with your favorite artists, entertainers, educators, celebrities, and influencers. This has been such a great platform for me to get my news, to get my mainstream news, as well as my just news within our culture, especially because I kind of stayed away from the sort of mainstream news. I think the next closest news outlet that I tune into is Newsround, and that's purely because of my kids. I want them to start getting in tuned with the cool news that is happening around the world. So Newsround is a great platform for the kids, and I find it very entertaining. So for anyone that's out there who are parents as well, that feels like, oh, I want my kids to start watching some sort of news, what could it be? It can be the day after if you have some sort of teenagers. I think that'll be good. And if you've got young kids, Newsround is your best outlet. But let's get into today's video. Today's video, they had a nice guest, Dr. Shadiq Joseph. I hope I'm pronouncing his first name right. A clinical psychologist. Is his TikTok where he talks about going to the day after sort of podcast as well, doing his episode. I'm going to fast forward it a bit where you can just see. So go on his TikTok and show some love as well. He dropped some nice gems on his TikTok as well. So let's go and support the brothers. And I must say, people, like, for me, witnessing brothers in this profession is so important, not only for brothers that are going into therapy, but the brothers that are facilitating therapy for, very different people from all walks of life. So just to see other brothers just in the same sort of space as me, as he's a clinical psychologist. Obviously, I'm going to be trained to be a training psychotherapist. Very sort of different, but yet similar. It's just nice to see as well. So big up Dr. Shadiq Joseph, as he was on the podcast today, or the Daily Show, on the day after show. And something that I've been wrestling with is the idea about, a lot of my courses, they always kind of talk about inclusivity and diversity. However, I spoke about earlier in my videos, you go and check them out, where I talk about the, how difficult it is to get into this course. And one of the biggest barriers that I faced was financially. My course is bloody expensive. It's almost coming up to 5 grand and more, and I speak about that in my early video. So if you want to know the really extent of those type of what it's like to be training as a psychotherapist, go and check them out. I speak about that because I was thinking to myself, I'm privileged and I'm lucky that I had the support to finance this course. I'll tell you now, off the back, I can't pay for this course, right? But then again, I wanted to speak more about what it's like, if there's any way for people to get into this profession with having the chore of it being such a financial burden. A lot of people want to get into therapy, or want to be counselors, but the minute I told them, hey, this is this much, no. And for Dr. Shadiq Joseph, he studied to be a clinical psychologist, so that's very academic. It's very different from what I do, where I pay a standalone sort of course. Of course, I have to pay for supervision, I have to pay for personal therapy, and also added cost to travel to my course as well. So that's a very different sort of pathway. But he speaks about his sort of journey, and I wanted to highlight that. And also, I think what I'm trying to push here, and it's very early days, and is the fact that I think this course, or to get into this profession, should be an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship that the uni offers, where you already have therapists. They will offer you to pay for your supervisors instead of you paying for your supervisor, and also give you a helping hand to finding your placements. One of the hardest jobs as well, when you do the course like I did as well, was looking for placements. Tiresome interviews, placements being far from home and stuff like that. I've been very lucky to say that my placement is literally down the road, and even my second placement is not too far from me. I've been very lucky and fortunate. But if it wasn't for that, I'll be probably traveling. I live in South. I'll be probably traveling to places like Barnet, to North London, to West London, for just to do my sort of placement, and that is time and that is money. But today I wanted to give him a question to talk about what was his sort of journey in going into being a psychologist, but also as well the idea of it being apprenticeships. And let's see if you had a few two pence. I won't be playing the whole sort of video. That's for you to go, and if you're really interested, because he speaks about better help. He speaks about him as a clinical psychologist, and the ethics and the ethical ways of how he practiced and how he works. A very enlightening conversation that they had on that platform today, and also talking about whether or not somebody should go to therapy. What does it mean to have short-term therapy versus long-term therapy? But without further ado, let's get straight into it, people.
Undergrad, studied psychology at Birmingham, did a master at King's, master's mental health, and then my doctorate at UCL, so doctorate in clinical psychology. So if you're someone that's looking to get into clinical psychology specifically, which is a government funded.
See, now he talks about it being government funded, so you're not paying for that. See, whereby my course, I am paying that from my own pocket. So I pay for that, and I pay for my supervision on top of that, and I pay for my personal therapy. Even though you get a discount for personal therapy, if if you're studying, you get a discount for your personal therapy. But nevertheless, you're still paying for that. So that is not government funded. My course and the school that I'm into is not government funded.
So 3 years you're paid at band 6, all right? And for a lot of people, it's so coveted. It's like trying to get onto that is really tough because, as you said, it's paid for. So for a lot of us, and when I say us, I say for me specifically, there's no way I could have gone down like a counselling route, because I know you guys have to literally fork out the money and pay for it yourself. Supervision, placement, you've got to find it. That's extremely difficult, right? And it's not viable for so many people. Clinical psychology is now the route that so many people are literally gunning for because of those paid positions. So what I would say for people that look like us, clinical psychology is the route. How you get onto that, you need experience. So it's about getting those assistant psychology posts, doing support working role. The difficulty is, and I think you're so right, is we speak about diversity and wanting it more in our profession. However, how many people can afford to have such a low paying job for a long time?
Low paying job, for any TAs out there, you don't get paid niche. Especially someone like me, I have to do something like a TA job to fund my course as well, or to have the flexibility to do my course as well. That's why I do 3 days, and what I get every week, it's not that much. But it's for the love of the game. It's for the love of the game, and so for the passion that I have for working with people in that capacity is the reason why I do it. But yeah, he's absolutely right.
In order to get the experience needed to get to a doctorate, the only way and the reason I was able to do that seriously is because I have my mum who has a council house that I can stay in. It was not feasible for me to do that otherwise. I worked as an assistant psychologist for a point. I used to literally cycle to work, not because it was fitness. I told people fitness. I had no money. I was broke. I was saving £1.50, £3 a day, £4.50 instead of taking the bus, because I knew I couldn't afford to do that. I used to walk to the gym 40 minutes one way. Yeah, I had to do it.
Walking to 40 minutes to a gym is crazy. Crazy. But salute to you, King, of course.
But that's a sacrifice I was willing to make. But not everyone can do that. I have no dependents. I have no kids, so I could do that.
But someone like me who had kids as well, I think my second son was already here, bro. It was tough, and me and my missus had to really sit, go to the drawing board and really budget and so forth. And he talks about getting into to be a clinical psychologist. A lot of people are trying to go for, so that's why it makes it so difficult. I didn't know that. I really didn't.
I spent my whole 20s chasing this career. I've only just qualified. I'm 29 now.
Obviously, I share my little 2 pence, but I'm just gonna fast forward my bit because I think he says something else that's a bit valuable.
You say that you have to get experience before you sort of apply to do the 3 years at university. Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, for you to get to a doctorate, you have to usually have a minimum of 2 years working in the field. And there's a clause for a lot of universities. You have to have a certain grade in your undergrad. And it doesn't even matter if it's psychology. You could be doing, what's it called? Like some kind of physical science. Doesn't matter what it is. You have to have a minimum of 66%, I think it is, in your first degree. Otherwise, that rules you out straight off the bat.
I said 66%. If you don't have that, yeah, goodbye. I said there's a cut-off point. Fair enough. I hear it. And I wonder if that's only because there's such a number of people joining that wants to be a clinical psychologist, they might almost have to cap it in some sort of degree. So yeah, if you don't get the 66% and above, yeah, you're not making it. You're not making it. Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sometimes don't know that, so they might be thinking about doctorate and being in the bachelor's and not realizing, hold on, your grade right now is going to affect you in 5 years' time.
See,
Listen, I want to leave it there. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you want much more gems, please check out this video. I don't want to take up this time. This is the Day After Daily Show. Go on their channel. Go and watch this particular episode to hear some sort of cool gems as well. And as you can hear, I'll ask him a few more questions after that as well. So if you want to tune into that, please go there. But this is just more of a little nugget that I wanted to react to and really speak about as well. I hope there is going to be a change when it comes to the world of, psychotherapy. I do believe I've been kind of proposing the idea. I spoke to my supervisor and said I think this course should be an apprenticeship. He said he will go and speak to his boards and see what they sort of think. But he did also say to me, people have to get paid, and if people have to get paid, you're paying for the course, you're paying for the supervisors, you're paying for the space that people can come and study. You're paying to have your school and websites and so forth. So everything has a sort of price as well. But should the price be to a amount that even the people that you are attracting people to join in, that they can't do it as well? Yes, the narrative was, this is a course that was, mainly done with white privileged women or people that had money. Take it, your daddy can pay for it, and say that there you go. I mentioned there as well that I was the only black male in my psychodynamic course, and it has an advantage in the sense where you get to now showcase, your world to others, that people that are not from your world. I did a presentation on black fathers and black fathers in the UK, especially for modern fathers, like the fathers of today. It was, it received really well, and lots of people said, I never knew this, or that you've opened my eyes to new things. And these are other counselors that are, and me saying that to them is beneficial for them, for for a black father to come into their therapy room. They can be an aid and support for them. But yes, it's a long way to go. But I think when you got people like Dr. Shadiq Joseph and the people that I work alongside with from all sorts of backgrounds, it is beneficial and helpful. It's just to the people upstairs, maybe once we get into that door and we break those barriers and we can convince them to restructure psychotherapy and how people can get into this profession, that will be a game changer, because I think there will be a need for more people from diverse backgrounds to be therapists and counselors to support people. And that's even going to people that are neurodivergent. We can still have people that are neurodivergent to still be counselors as well, because that relatability will be so impactful in that therapeutic relationship. But yeah, but that's my little 2 pence on it, people. Go out and check out their video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, people. Take care. I didn't, I don't know, for some, I didn't do psychology as a GCSE. I didn't even know that you can do it as a GCSE. Because if that was the case, I would have picked psychology as well. I think my subjects I did was drama, DT, what was my third one? Geography, which I failed miserably. Geography, and I don't even know why I picked geography instead of history. Even though, and I know there's 2 types of geography. They see the rivers and all of that, the worst. I hated that. But you see like LEDCs and MEDCs, that type of geography, like impulse and outpulse, like all of that type of stuff. Yeah, that I was on board with. But I should have picked history, but nevertheless.